See, part of the reason I don't keep up my YouTube channel is I have to do 4 or 5 takes before I get anything usable, and I don't really have the time, energy, gear, or motivation to do those really slick YouTube videos that I really love and respect. Like, people put a lot of energy into their videos. I'll be honest, most of my energy goes into writing, my creative energy. And so, yeah, I just decided I'm not going to make promises anymore of, like, I'm going to keep up with my channel or update it or whatever, because, like, the first 3/4 of a minute of this video is just me talking about why I suck at YouTube. Let's just put it that way. So I left Florida and I'm in California, and I am really glad I am here. It is, I'm getting used to it. I'm settling in. I've only been here a couple of weeks so far, but it seems like a sustainable, good, safe place. Florida is no longer safe. I'm sure most people watching this video have seen Aaron in the Morning's map, where Florida is now marked as unsafe to travel. And there have been announcements that we're in, like, a transgender emergency, which, yeah, like, many states have enacted a great deal, like exponentially more anti-trans legislation than previous years. Florida is deadly for me as a trans adult, because about a year into testosterone, I had pneumonia and went to the emergency room at a Florida hospital with my Florida Medicaid and my very visibly transgender appearance, because that was during the period when people were calling me sir, ma'am, is like correcting themselves repeatedly, and so yeah, like, I showed up with, like, my temperature going up a degree every time I took it. I don't know how long I'd had pneumonia, but I had no hydration all day because I'd been in the library working and wasn't allowed to have water in there, and I was meeting a deadline, and then I stood up and knew I was in a medical emergency, took my temperatures 5 or 6 times, and went straight to the hospital. I had Medicaid to pay for it, and the emergency room was virtually empty when I arrived. I got taken right back to a room, and I sat there for like 10 hours. And the nurses were really apologetic, but they said that the doctors didn't want to take care of me, and all said that they weren't trained in trans healthcare. And that was their excuse for why they couldn't treat my pneumonia, because apparently my lungs are also trans, and that makes them super gendered, and I don't know. Finally somebody brought me a fucking glass of water, right? Like, I didn't even have a cup of water. I didn't bring anything in with me, and I had not had water all day, and I sat there like 8 or 9 of those hours without even a cup of water. And finally, a nurse either, like, risked her job or got permission or whatever and brought me some water. And what that experience taught me was that there were already, in 2017, entire hospitals of doctors in Florida who would and could and did refuse to treat an obvious medical need of a transgender person based only on my being trans. I had means to pay. I needed treatment. So now Florida has passed legislation that says that no gender-affirming care will be paid for by Medicaid. They have taken away, not only have they taken away gender-affirming care for thousands of low-income trans adults. They also, this spring, carved up what nurse practitioners can do, and they can no longer prescribe gender-affirming hormones. I'm hearing people talk about this as a case of trans people will not be able to access gender-affirming care, and yes, that is a crisis. Yes, that is deadly, because gender-affirming care saves lives at all ages. I have a fear layered over that, because from having been a Florida citizen for like 6 of the last 8 years, Florida has a war on trans people, a war on disabled people, a war on poor people. Not a war on poverty, a war on poor people. You bring those three together into transgender people on Medicaid, and what I experienced with pneumonia, it's going to be experienced with appendix burst. It's going to be experienced with broken bones, with head lacerations, with any medical care. It was shown to me in 2017 how easy it is for doctors to deny medical care in Florida based on my status as a transgender person. Now, with all of these extra laws in place, Florida is deadly. Florida is deadly. I am so glad that I am in California now. It's not that there's no transphobia here, but the political and social climate is much friendlier. I also am not as visibly trans until you look at my driver's license, which does have an F on it because I failed in sex. But I'm not terrified here. I'm not like constantly fearing for my life. I will make another video. I'm not going to promise when, because we already talked about how much I suck at YouTube. But I will talk about the trans youth gender-affirming healthcare crisis, which is also very real and very deadly and needs to be addressed. But right now, I'm just talking about, like, me as an adult. Trans adults are not safe in Florida. If you go to Disney World and you get injured and you get taken to the hospital and they recognize that you're trans, you may not get treatment. You may have the same experience I had. I think they were just hoping I would get up and leave. I was too sick to get up and leave. People are going to die in emergency room waiting rooms, in emergency room back rooms, on the sidewalk outside of emergency rooms. Because Florida has given its stamp of approval to every doctor who thinks that we are so disgusting they don't even want to touch them with their medical hands to save their lives. This is the voice of experience. This happened to me. It's going to happen to a lot more people. Florida is not safe. I'm in California now. I'm reasonably safe. I'm as safe as I'm going to be anywhere in the United States, really. Like the Bay Area, where I'm at, or the Boulder, Denver area of Colorado. There are a few places where I have been before and lived before and feel like it would be safe to be. And right now, those are about it. Those and like the complete hermit life where I'm never leaving my house, but even then I might have to go to a hospital. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like right now, Bay Area and Boulder area are about the only two places in this country that I feel like I might be treated like a human being. Every place else, it's just luck of the draw, and Florida is deadly. So, hi everybody, I'm in California now. Thanks for listening.